Hey guys, welcome to the Troy Gramling podcast. We are on location at a very special place, the Berry Farms. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
And we got a couple of very special guests because they are, I guess, the creators, the founders, the runners, the leaders, the ones that make it all happen. So we're going to talk to them, learn a little bit about them, learn a little bit about what goes on here. So Karl and Dacia. Dacia.
It's a tricky
no
name.
matter how.
Dacia. It's tricky.
Anyways, it's welcome. It's good to have you guys. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys coming out. So my name is Karl Wiegandt. This is my wife, Dacia Wiegandt. We've been married for over 21 years, right? Been dating since 1996.
Can't live with him. Can't live without him.
Been a long time. It's been a good ride. So the location that we're at today, it's called the Berry Farm. And this is a family farm, 3-generation farm. We began this location actually only 4 years ago. We started building it right in the middle of COVID. But the history behind the farm was over 60 years ago. Dacia's grandfather started in the tomato business, came down from Marion County, Ocala, started down in the tomato business and really stuck to the vine ripe operation. And we've consistently shipped tomatoes to Publix, and we still do, through the vine ripe. So this has kind of been like an auxiliary or an accessory to that business that's evolved into a lot much more.
So now, okay, so you guys been married for 21 years.
Yep.
Children?
Oh, yeah. So, again, I have 3 kids. I have a 16-year-old, Austin, and he loves baseball, all the things. I have a 15-year-old, Mason, and then we have a 12-year-old, Addison. So they're all 2 years apart. They're all at Westminster, which is the same school that I started at and met him at. So since
right.
16 dating, 7 years dating, 21
So that's a little
years
bit of a
married.
drive, Westminster, isn't it?
Well, you're at Academy, you're probably thinking.
Okay.
Westminster
down south.
Christian is literally a minute from our house.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Really close.
So that was my dream, was to be successful enough to be able to send our kids to the same school that I grew up in and met him at.
Oh, that's very
And he
cool.
played baseball there and all the things. So that's how we met.
Yeah,
So, 2 boys and a girl, or?
correct.
2 boys and a girl. Yes. And so very busy. We're in the craziest stage of our lives, raising 3 teens. So running the farm. I'm also a senior national sales director with Mary Kay and a lifestyle blogger. So we've got 3 businesses, juggling it all with the kids. So we're just barely hanging on, but by God's grace.
Yeah, I've got 3 children, so I know you guys are right in that fun stage in some sense. Can be a little challenging
Yeah.
because they're figuring out who they are and have
Yeah. Their brains are forming, all the things. Yeah.
all those. Now, they're all involved in athletics, or?
yeah.
The both boys play baseball at school, and then my daughter is a dancer.
Oh, wow.
The oldest one, his dreams to be an MLB star,
Yes.
play baseball. He practices like 4 hours a day. The middle one also wants to do that, and Addison loves dance. So they're sweethearts.
So they plenty of places to go then. I mean,
Yeah, we're always
Sure.
busy. Travel ball,
Yeah.
all the things. And he played. They won the national championship in high school and then played for UF baseball. So
UF. That's
University of
That's
Florida.
that Gator team.
That's the
yeah,
Gator team.
sorry.
So, do they are they involved in the farming at all, as far as what
You
goes
know,
on?
both are hard workers. Both of the boys are. My daughter enjoys coming down to the farm, but when we were building this farm, this space right here was all avocado trees. It was just, it looked nothing like this. So every tree that's here, we actually replanted. So all the fence, I think we've got like 4,000 linear feet of fence. The boys were here on a hot 100-day like today, 100-degree heat like today, and we would drop the post, put in the concrete, pour in the water, move on to the next and the next, and that seemed like it was a forever 2 or 3 weeks to be able to complete it. But yeah, they come out to the farm and help and work earlier in the transition time,
Right.
rather than right now, just because they're so busy with school and with baseball that, you know, we kind of just let them do their thing.
So you're saying that when you guys were building that fence, they didn't have smoothies and 3 or 4 fans
Oh,
around them?
We didn't have water.
Sweating.
We didn't have shade. We had nothing. So we had to
He got in the best shape of his life, actually, during that time.
It's tough to keep weight on when you're out here all day.
Yeah.
So we just dropped the well, ran a pump, and that's how we used, you know, to get water into the concrete holes and augers. But no, there was no shade. It was sit in your car and get it. It was tough, and it was the middle of COVID, which that part was actually pretty good because there was nobody on the road. There
Right.
was nobody doing anything, so we were able to get around pretty quick and scoot around. But it was
And the kids didn't have anywhere they had to go.
Yes.
yes. So they came to
needed
work with me.
Do something.
It was come to work
Exactly.
with Dad. It didn't matter how hot it was. Get a couple shirts and some coolers of water, and you're ready to go.
Yep.
Now, for those of you who are watching and listening today, we are officially, is this Homestead or is this?
Redlands?
It's the Redlands. It's
Redlands.
not quite into Homestead technically, but a lot of people call it Homestead.
Yeah.
So we're south of Miami, for
Yes.
those who might be
Yes.
from some other place. And so when we think of South Florida,
Yep.
farms is not something
Yeah.
Right.
that we think about. But originally, because we're going to talk about how, what agritourism or kind of that, but there are farms. Tell us a little bit about the different kind of farming that happens in this part of the country, you might say.
Yeah, and I'll mention, what's interesting, a lot of people don't realize is most of the country is frozen for the wintertime, except for Lake Okeechobee or Ruskin South. So, I mean, down here and from Lake Okeechobee through Belle Glade and down into South Florida and even into, you call it Miami or south of Kendall, so most of your vegetables are grown from, Arkansas over to the east. But what's also down here, there's tons of nurseries. I mean, really, they supply the whole country with what they're putting in the ground, their seasonals and their annuals and all those kinds of plants. So from December through May in the state of Florida, particularly in Lauderdale, Plantation, Pembroke Pines, that area, you should be, I know Publix is really good at serving the community with local produce.
Right. So it's different than folks in other part of the country might actually think when they hear about Miami or South Florida, that kind of thing. And originally, your grandfather came down and kind of started. So tell us how did your family then kind of get down here?
So I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas, and my dad moved to Miami originally to learn the farm business because my mom's grandfather, he decided to learn how to grow the vine ripe tomatoes. So that's where it kind of all started. So I was a farmer's daughter. I did not think it was cool growing up. I'm like, when people are like, what did your dad do? I'm like, farmer? And they were like, what? Now it's kind of bougie and cool to say I want to be a farmer, but it wasn't cool. Like, just like my name, I didn't think it was cool. But I learned that hard work ethic by watching my dad and grandfather, and I truly believe that more is caught than taught. And so little did I know the discipline that it would take place in my life. And so I just always remember, going to the farm, going to our U-Picks, picking strawberries. I even worked at the U-Picks when I was 14, 15 years old just to make a little extra money. My grandpa was a visionary. Like, we have what we have today because of what he put forth and the vision he had. And he never even graduated high school. And was a very successful man. He truly lives out, that book, The Millionaire Next Door. He would, wait in the parking lot of churches and give cash to older women and not even let them know, where it's coming from. Just always just very gregarious, never met a stranger. And so, we thank him for the vision that he had. And then my dad, of course, stepped into his shoes and kept it going. And then, now my husband. And so we got married at 22. We were babies, and he was in the mortgage industry, and I started Mary Kay along with teaching because I wanted to have the finer things in life like I saw at a young age. And I knew that the true rate of wealth was to own my own business and to do something, but I didn't know what that entailed. And so the Mary Kay opportunity came to me at 22. I was attracted to it because of the God first, family second, career third piece. I wanted to stay at home with my kids, be able to be there with them, and then Kay was doing mortgages. So here we are running, successful, doing our things together. And my grandpa passes away, and my dad is super stressed with running this huge farm. And so I said, Dad, Ko is super successful. He's great in business. He knows Spanish. And so I think he'd be a huge asset. Mortgages are kind of slowing down. Would you think of him helping you? And so what started off small it's huge now. And so he's now basically running the whole thing and a visionary for our farm. And it's just really neat to be a part of that for so long. And, our main goal with all of this is to bring a piece of country to Miami. And for no matter, what age you are, we want you to come here and feel like you stepped away. This hustle and bustle of living in the city, it's exhausting, And so I think that if you've grown up in Arkansas or Georgia or Central Florida, there are farms everywhere. But here, people really don't know what that looks like. Right. And so our main goal is that whether you're a baby, a toddler, an adult, a grandparent, that you come here, you step away, you get some family time and community, and we bring the community together.
Yeah, I mean, just looking around, it's quite a place. I encourage folks to come check it out, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the things you guys got going on.
Yeah.
But I'm always interested with Mary Kay as well. That's an international company as well. And for those
Direct
who may
sales.
not know, tell us what Mary Kay is.
So it's a direct selling company, and I started when I was 22. I was really shy. I didn't know the leadership abilities I had. Growing up, I actually suppressed them. I was a cheerleader, but never tried out to be the captain. I had a good voice, never sang, suppressed all those leadership abilities. And it wasn't until I started Mary Kay that I realized that there was a giant inside of me, and always been a believer. One of the things that attracted me to Mary Kay is our philosophy is God first, family second, and career third. And so I knew that if I was going to put my time into something, it had to align with the values that I had. And so I grew up in Mary Kay, let's just put it that way, from 22 to now 44. It's been a great business, with us, no kids, small kids, now teens. Of course, I put a lot of energy into the beginning. Now I'm balancing a lot, but with residual income, you're getting paid from what you did years ago. And I'm just grateful that God put it in my path, and was able to become the youngest national in the company by the time I was 26. And
so you started when you're 22.
22.
And now you're no longer 22.
Yeah.
So you've seen a lot of change in that time.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
a lot of growth.
I don't know. When I think of Mary Kay, I think of Avon. I don't know if it's similar, but I think of knocking on doors.
Nope. Yeah.
But I'm sure that's not the way
I mean,
happens.
The way it is now is different than what it was then, because like anything, it's a numbers game. It is sales, that is a portion of it, but it really is about leadership and relationships. And so I didn't realize the inner giant within me. I have a very good attitude and a hard work ethic because of all the farm experience I've seen. And so with that, loving of people, having a good attitude, being disciplined, and having that hard work ethic combined with the right training, I just didn't stop. Every day I gave it my all. And, I always say that if you'll work for 2 years like most people won't, you'll be able to live in 2 years like most people can't. And so I got really good at sharing the opportunity. And so every person I came in contact with, I either was thinking, are they becoming my friend? Are they becoming my customer? Are they joining my team?
So say that statement again.
I
if you
said,
work 2 years like...
If you will work for 2 years like most people won't, you'll be able to live in 2 years like most people can't. So basically took what could have been a small little direct selling business where someone puts in a few hours a week. It became 40 to 60 hours a week for me, and I treat it like a real job, and had to create discipline and guidelines in my life where there was none. Because here I was, a 22-year-old, 23-year-old putting on a business suit from, I think it was Casual Corners, trying to look older than I was, trying to look like a newscaster. Remember when I was this little girl, like completely scared and did it afraid. And I kind of felt like, honestly, David in the Bible going up against really big giants, CEOs, people that knew what they were doing. It was fearful. I was fearful, but I trusted the process, and I knew that God had a bigger plan. And I lived in my vision and not in my reality. I lived in where I was going. I would envision the house that we were going to have, the school that we were going to go to, the vacations that we were going to have, how our home was going to look, and literally lived there instead of where I was. And, in anything in life, I think when you live in your vision, you can accomplish a lot, which is what we've done here too with the farm.
Right. It's funny how the key to success, no matter what direction, it takes you, whether it's your passion or whether it's opportunities, it's the same. It's discipline, it's attitude, it's all those kind of things. Because I would imagine at that time you were going into the mortgage, or even in athletics when you were playing baseball, it's that same mindset that leads to success.
I mean, you got to be willing to do things that nobody else is, including this farm. Look, this is only 4 years old, and we had a foundation from another location, but any number of agriculture guys own the land and own the space and have the ability and maybe the knowledge, but it takes the vision, it takes the energy, it takes the that risk reward balance of do we want to do this and to what level, and then growing into it. And then it's also a lot of time in your craft, as you know. I mean, it takes a lot of time, and you've got to be willing in your downtime to get better. And Dacia certainly has and always has, and I know obviously you have. And on the farm here, that's one of the things we try to do, is really try to go out and look at other locations. And then social media is so exceptional because we're able to get ideas that aren't our ideas, right? We just kind of swap them around and change them and mix them. And we really be able to draw people into what they want, not necessarily what we want, but what they think they want, and give them the most enjoyable experience for the best value.
Yeah. So. Well, and that's the whole reason we started the podcast was to just encourage people that the difference between success and failure is really a small amount, and it's most of the time it's things that people can do. Most people
Right.
can persevere. Most people can discipline themselves. They can improve in whatever it is they're called or passionate about doing. It's just like you said, most people don't. So you guys had a farm, you're doing the tomatoes and the other
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So how did the idea of, well, first of all, tell us what agriculture tourism is.
Agritourism?
Yeah.
Yeah, that blended word. It's kind of a new word. And don't quote me for sure on this, but the evolution of the word came about from maybe like the tobacco guys and tobacco getting out lost and not generating the revenue, and the corn guys in the Midwest and not being the revenue generators. So they said, well, there's an opportunity for people to want to come out to corn mazes, for example, and to pumpkin patches and to strawberry fields and to do something, but to come into our world in the agri world. So they kind of blended agriculture in the agri world and tourism and call it agritourism. And really what it is agriculturally zoned properties that are still bona fide agriculture, but they also blend and merge people in to enjoy our space of what we do, because we are a working farm. I mean, during the season, we're growing the tomatoes, we're growing the strawberries, we're growing everything and shipping all over the place. But there's also an opportunity for the farmer to get back and to get back and to give back, but also to let people really enjoy our space. I mean, we're so full of, and I love the construction and I love the high rises and I love the buildings, but there's also this pleasant, calm, ease feeling when you come out to quote unquote the country. And from Miami and from Kendall, it's 10, 15,
Right.
20, 25 minutes away. People are so shocked. They're like, oh my goodness, this exists right here. And we're only 20 minutes from where I live.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. Now, how did you guys come up with the idea? Is it something you guys had thought about, or how did you get to here? How did you go from?
I mean, the foundation. So her grandfather and dad started these U-pick strawberry
Okay.
fields in Kendall. So
Right.
we still do those.
Uh-huh.
So that was kind of the idea that, people love coming out and picking their own produce. But about, I was running Burr's Berry Farm since 2013. The owner said, look, we don't want to run it anymore. Would you be interested in leasing it from me and running it? And there were a couple conditions I had, which they met. And there was a gentleman by the name of Hank who runs Hank's Pumpkin Town up in Long Island. And he came down, we share the same seed salesman, stood over there. And at the time we weren't really agritourism, kind of, sort of, but not really. We were just doing strawberries and some field trips. He said, you need to do a pumpkin patch, you need to do a corn maze, you need to do it. And I said, no way, it's not gonna work. Okay, fine. He got me the seed, we planted it, and we said, you know what, we're just gonna try it. And to our shock, people, like the very first year, I was like, wow, this is kind of surprising, people like it. And then the next year it doubled, and the next year it doubled. So Lennar was purchasing that piece of land, and I had a right to buy it or to find a way to find another piece of land that reciprocation would work. At the same time that 10 streets down, Lennar was purchasing to put 120 units on, this land became available. So we made a deal with this owner, purchased this piece. The road got wide, and like kind of God's timing with it.
It was a blessing, yeah.
The road got wide and purchased this, then met with the back 20-acre piece to lease. He said, buy it from me. Gave us a crazy good deal. And so the evolution of, okay, this is the location was part of it. The second part was, okay, now what do we do? What do we address? And four of the things we tried to address here were shade, food, parking, and bathrooms, which were all issues at our other location.
Right.
So once we started mapping it out and laying it out and met with friends, Dacia suggested we go down to Waco, Texas and visit.
Get some ideas.
Chip and Joanna
Magnolia,
Gaines.
yeah. I'm like, we want
Magnolia
clean
Farms.
aesthetic farmhouse.
Yeah.
We got to make this happen. Like, this isn't just about coming to the farm. We want people to really want to take photo shoots here, for bloggers to come out to go in the sunflower fields. And so I said, I need you to visit a few farms in Texas. We need to bring that to Miami. We've got the piece of land. We've got the growing power. And so we just kind of, it was just a blessing. God just aligned it all. And it really happened in COVID, where we had the time and the freedom to transport, to construct.
Yeah.
And then really when we came out of that, it was constructed and people were like, oh my gosh, they were blown away by it. And it was a God thing. I don't even know how to say but of course we're not here. We wouldn't be here without, the past, the buildup of that, of my grandfather and my dad and this, and just all of it came together for the perfect timing, that foundation. Yeah.
Well, every generation
Everything
has a
starts with
role.
a seed.
Yeah.
You think that, and sometimes you don't know what the outcome's going to be. You just know
You trust the
what your
process.
season is, in life, because they probably had no idea that all of this would be here as a result of the tomatoes they were growing back in the day, and yet it did. And then the timing is pretty amazing that you didn't have to. It wasn't like it was all built and then you went into COVID, and so you got this huge expense and no way to bring the income in. You got to build it during COVID. And for those who are just listening, tell us a little bit about what is on the property here.
Yeah, really neat place. I always tell people, they always say, well, describe it to me. I say, you just have to come down. But so what it is, and we rotate seasons. So right now through the middle of November, it's kind of Harvest Festival. So it's pumpkin theme, it's corn maze theme. And so we've got all kinds of food. On the weekends, we do barbecue and tacos in the back barn up front here. On this side, we have the juice barn and the healthier barn and some of the jellies and the jams and the pumpkins. On the other side, you've got the ice cream section where I haven't changed one recipe from the ice cream. I don't walk in it, don't know anything about it, but that's still really Burr's Berry Farm. I want to give them credit too.
Right.
So it was Burr's Berry Farm, and it was Charlie Burr's recipe and Idina Burr's recipe, all that. And then the burgers and the chicken tenders and the food. So what we
Tractor
try
rides.
to do, we got the tractor rides. You've got
Pretty
a lot
setups for photos for
There's
families.
a lot of quiet, and kids call them playgrounds, but really, truly, the corn pits are sensory driven. And you wouldn't believe the amount of kids that go into the corn pit, little kids, and sensories become a big deal, and they sit in there. And then the ropes course, which is back over there, maybe we'll walk it after the podcast here, but is all about balance, coordination, strength, and agility. So quietly, parents are sitting down and able to sit there under the trees and have a coffee or have a water or eat their food. And their kids are really in the confined space, but they're getting an incredible amount of their ability and their exercise quietly. And it's hot today, but during really our season, the temperatures are so great. Then there's a big field out in the back. There's all kinds of playgrounds over there. There's some wooden construction. There's bouncing pads. And then really the draw has been sunflowers. It's incredible. I tell anyone, look, if you want to do something, just plant some sunflowers and keep them going, because the Instagram world is something that is just taken over there. So we really have a special variety and a certain way that we plant them that keeps them really vibrant. And so, we transition into the sunflower deal, and the strawberries come up. So it's something like on our website, it's from the age of 0 or 1 month or 2 months all the way to 100 years old. It's making those forever memories and those forever pictures that one day when you get married or when you pass on, this farm is somewhere in that picture because it was an incredible memory that was made with family.
Oh, that's good. That's good. When I walked up, Giselle, the first thing she said is, "Did you see the sunflowers?"
Yeah. And they're in full bloom back there now, so they're perfect. Yeah.
You got to take a picture out there before you leave. Well, and then, so we've got the Harvest Festival up and coming.
Yep.
And then we're going to be having 8 nights for the Halloween, right?
It might be like 13 or so, where there's a fun little nighttime.
More for 12 and up,
Right.
If you can handle it.
Halloween deal.
And then Christmas
there's a
is like a Hallmark experience.
Okay.
So I would say next month, if you're anywhere close by, come down for the Harvest Festival, follow us at the Berry Farms, and look for some of the, if you like more of the scary Halloween thing, but we've got something for the young kids, something for the older. And then our Christmas is like Hallmark. It's like you're watching the Hallmark Channel. Again, we want that country Christmas at the farm, Valentine's, Easter. So any of the holidays, we're having it here and celebrating.
So the things you talked about earlier, you're open each day for people to come and be a part of it.
Until May, yeah.
And then the Harvest Festival, those are unique events that.
Yeah, the Harvest Festival,
or...
Harvest Festival really hasn't begun technically. It begins Saturday.
Okay.
So we'll put all the pumpkins on there because, we start 2 weeks early just to get everyone trained right and kind of slowly work in, and the heat tips up. But, we handle big crowds on Saturdays and Sundays here once October starts. So really, in order to get everything flowing smooth, it's like what they call a well-oiled machine, a well-oiled. It really is, but there's so many little details involved. Getting everyone trained and getting their feet wet is really important here. But we try to do all the seasons. We try to give people, every quarter, hey, we got to go to the Berry Farm because there's something great to do there.
As you're doing the Halloween, the for the young kids, but then you're also doing scary,
like a spooky house.
I don't know what the official titles are.
Well, you're going to take a tractor ride to the house. So you're going to be through this spooky farm, imagine, and going up to this, dark house.
It's kind of new. So the property to the back is kind of new, and we kind of stumbled on it. You don't know what to do. So we converted it, and we're going to finish it on up. And it's going to be a fun spookiness to it. And
now,
again,
so let me ask you that. So that's big business right now, Universal Studios and all these theme parks. So do you guys get involved in like what it's going to look like and what, or is that part of how does that happen?
Fortunately, unfortunately, I'm extremely hands-on.
He's there for
everything.
the grounds up control, or maybe control.
So there's very few, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. There's very few things I do without being there, right? So
He's growing the crops, painting the house.
I
and he does a lot.
enjoy being it. I always say there's only one thing to do things, and that's the right way.
Right.
And so I think a lot of times, whether you're putting up a fence and it's off by 2 inches or so, maybe it doesn't bother you, but then the next time we do a fence, it's off by a foot. So I have a pretty big role in most of the things on the farm. However, our team is amazing. We have an amazing social media team, the manager team, all my workers, the whole deal, the coordination. We have an amazing team that puts it out, but we do have meetings to get together and really assign tasks and duties. The haunted house and the hay maze, for safety is a big thing. I got to walk it over a lot, make sure the exits are right, make sure the lighting is properly done. But it's kind of our new thing. It's kind of our new baby, as this was. And so I am back there, a lot of days just going over and giving identity to each hallway, to each room, to each venue.
Right. And the same with Christmas. You guys kind of dream it comes out of
we kind of write it all out, talk it out with the team, decorate it. They have trial run-throughs. They even have mocked out maps of this is how it's supposed to flow, right?
A lot of Christmas lights. We have Santa. We have
about 80. What do you have? About 80.
Lights.
About 80 people helping here.
Yeah. It's a full staff.
Yeah.
Pretty big.
So now, speaking of that, what are the things guys have learned along the way to, when it comes to leading that large group of people, keep them motivated and inspired, especially the ones who touch the people who are coming, the service folks, because they play such a big role in those memories that you guys are trying to create.
I think we're pretty blessed. We've got an amazing group of high school and college students that work in the area, and they're filled with so much energy, and so they come, and there's, it's warm on some of the days, and they're filled with the energy and they love it. One of the things I've always taken is every single person is important and plays such a key role. And if I'm the person that's picking up garbage, or if I'm the person that's making the burgers, or if I'm the person that's planting the sunflowers, it's those forever moments. And the forever moments start from as soon as they enter in the admission. I always tell my admission people, you guys are my most important.
The friendliest ones have to be up front.
Yeah, you're my most important people, because those are the first questions. That's the first appearance. That's the first moment that people have to experience our space. And I said, not my space. This is our space. Because when you come to this venue as a visitor or as an employee or as anyone, as a party, as a guest, this now becomes like your little time, your 4-hour time. And so the average stay is 3 to 5 hours here. Yeah. People don't come here only for 20 minutes and 30 minutes. So they really have a lot of time to either see the negatives or the positives. So we see both of them. So cleanliness is number one, no garbage, clean.
Yeah, beautiful place.
And the happy smiles and, hey, how can I help you? And so I think that making every important person really realize that they're really vital to the success of the operation, but also that person's day is really important here.
Yeah, and knowing you have the power to do that, to impact somebody's mindset. So you guys have this large team here, and then I imagine you're leading a lot of folks in Mary Kay. So, and then we've already talked about the attitude and the mindset, how important it is, the discipline. So, what have you learned along the way on those discouraging days? What are the things that you do so that a discouraging day doesn't become a month or a quarter or that kind of thing? How have you dealt with discouragement so as to persevere?
Yeah, you want to go first, Dacia, or you want me to?
Well, I work differently, obviously, from 22 to 30, than I do now. And so, I just, again, like I said before, anytime I was discouraged in my own business or just with raising kids or whatever, I just think how grateful. I think of, 3 things that I'm grateful for. I think when you stay in an attitude of gratitude, and look at what you have compared to, we have so much, we're so blessed. So I think just constantly looking at what you're thankful for, looking at why did you start? Like, what was your purpose? Whether it be the farm or Mary Kay or blogging or being a minister, like what was the reason you started? Like, what was your why? Going back to that, I always tell my girls, or I tell my leaders teaching their people, sing their song back to them. Like, what was the reason why they started? Was it for their kids? Was it for their confidence? Some days you're just doing it, like you're just getting through the day. And then some days you're fully confident and you're excited and you're enthusiastic, but you can't work off emotion. If we all worked off emotion, we would never work. Right. We'd stay in bed and relax.
And one of the things playing off too on that I want to get to before we finish is that, in agriculture, we always have a plan A, a B, and a C. So we don't ever, we're always evaluating new crops and new styles and new ways and new spacings, new fertilizers, new ways to take care of crops. But if that doesn't work, there's another way to do it. And so, the way I get motivated is I know there's an obstacle in my day every day. I know it. It just happens. It's just the way it is. Whether somebody gets a little bit hurt or some people don't show up or we got rain today and I can't plant for 3 days. But there's always a plan B for what we're going to do. And it's never where I'm sitting around still. I mean, I think that day before preparation is really important to my business here and to our business, is really preparing everyone for most possibilities throughout the day.
That intentionality, whether it's, journaling so that you can go back and be reminded of the why, or whether it's knowing what point, B and C is. And again, what I love about what I get to do is anybody can do that. It's not a lot of folks do, but anybody can.
Right.
When I played basketball, you had to be about a certain height, you had to have certain skills, or, you just weren't going to go very far.
Yeah.
But, when it comes to success in life and relationships, we can all get there.
Make a decision, have a good attitude, do the work behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and everybody that's successful is going to fail. I mean, if you're not failing, you're not going to win. I mean, there's nobody, in any industry. Failure is just going to be part of it,
How many people stop that far away?
I know. That's
you're right there. And the greatest thing is losing weight. Everybody wants to lose weight. No one's doing it. And we go to the gym for 10 days and 12 days and 14 days and the scale moves like 2 pounds and you're like, this is not working. I'm going back to doing. But really all of a sudden that scale just really starts moving. You start feeling better. You start sleeping better. You start moving better. And it, that becomes addicting too.
Yeah.
Good
So
habits.
close. People turn around. Well, guys, it's been great to talk with you. There's so much more that we could cover, but I love what you've done. It is incredibly impressive. And, I'm also thankful for the impact that it does have on families. Like you said, memories. I read a book that talked about marriages that survive. What differentiates them often is they talk about memories. They talk about their past. And so, you're providing not only the joy of today, but also you're allowing families and marriages to last. So appreciate that. I want to encourage everybody watching, come and check out the Berry Farm. Now, tell us the website.
Yeah, website, www.visittheberryfarm.com. Loads of information. And on Instagram, we're pretty popular too. The Berry Farms is our tagline.
Awesome. And your lifestyle blog, what's the...
I am at Dacia Lee. So yes, I am a senior national sales director, but I have a blog for the past 4 years, basically very real on there. So talking about kids, fashion, style, how to decorate, very raw and real. So we'll have fun over there too. So.
All right. And then are you on Instagram as well?
I'm on Instagram, Dacia Lee, DACIALEA. Dacia Lee.
Well, thanks again so much, guys. Appreciate y'all being here. And I just want to remind everybody out there, we're on all the streaming platforms and video format on YouTube. So be sure and check out the Berry Farm. A lot of exciting things happening. I may make it back down here for the scare. I don't know what it's called. The scary house.
It's gonna be fun.
Go through the
kids.
cornfield. Yes.
Sure.
And I got grandkids.
Yeah. You don't look like a grandpa.
So anyways, guys, remember, check it out on Thursday. We'll be back talking about life, leadership, love, just how to succeed in everyday life, talking to everyday people. All right. We'll see you then on the Troy Gramling Podcast.